to you, Lord. You covered me, and you will cover me. You've always been always slaying my Goliath. Who am I that you're mindful of me? None like you, no, not one. With you, Lord, endless possibilities. You are God, there is none like you. How can I repay you for all you have done? You are God, you remain the same, my giant killer. Giant killer. Giant killer. Praise healer. My destiny changer. Destiny changer. Hey. That's who you are. That's who you are. Lord, you cover me. You cover me. Jesus. You've always been there, slaying my Goliath. Nothing's hard for you. Nothing's big for you, Yahweh. Yahweh. Nothing's hard for you. Nothing's hard. Yeah. There is nothing bigger. Nothing's big for Yahweh. 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 Nothing is too hard for you, God. Nothing's hard for you. Nothing is too big. Nothing's big for Yahweh. I call you Nothing's hard for you. Nothing is too big, Lord. Nothing's big for Giant killer. That's who you are. Praise healer. Destiny changer. My destiny changer. That's who you are. That's who you are. In times of fear. You cover me. Hallelujah. Thank you, Jesus. You've always been there, slaying my Goliath.
And good morning once again, my brothers and sisters in Jesus Christ. Welcome to another Living Hope Today study. Here we are in 1 Samuel chapter 26, and we're still involved in this interplay between King Saul and the anointed King David. Saul still struggles with the fact that he is being deposed by God. He is not willing to accept that. He's attacked David openly. David has spared his life once before. Here we see David spare his life again, but the point I really hope we can grab today is David's trust isn't in David's wisdom, the might of his army. He is not depending on himself. He doesn't want to sin against God, and he wants to wait for God to accomplish God's purpose in God's timing. It's a great lesson for us, and today we see it in action. Let me show you. Verse 1, the Ziphites went to Saul at Gibeah and said, "Is not David hiding on the hill at Hachilah, which faces Jeshimon?" Well, these Ziphites, they have a way of busting out David. They've already done it once before. Here they are again to tell Saul, you can get David if you want to get him. Now, Saul has a choice. He has certainly been confronted by David, been accused or maybe shamed by David's righteousness as David refuses to harm him, even though he has every opportunity in the cave, if you recall that story. So Saul could say, well, God's got a hold of David's life. I don't want to get involved in this. But what does Saul do? So Saul went down to the desert of Ziph with his 3,000 chosen men. Once again, Saul has not learned his lesson. He is going to try to kill David again. He has not been willing to accept God's decision and not willing at all to follow in what God has already decided to do. So here comes Saul with his 3,000 chosen men of Israel. He's going to look for David there. Saul made his camp beside the road on the hill of Hakilah facing Jeshimon, but David stayed in the desert. When he saw that Saul had followed him there, he sent out scouts and learned that Saul had definitely arrived. So I'm sure to David, this is, oh man, here we go again. The king just can't get it through his head that God has rejected him. Why does he want to kill me? I keep saving his life. I keep sparing his life. Why does he want to kill me? David's, I'm sure, confounded again by the fact that Saul just will not relent in his attempt to kill David. Well, then David set out and went to the place where Saul had camped. He saw where Saul and Abner, son of Ner, the commander of the army, had lain down. Saul was lying inside the camp with the army encamped around him. So here we're introduced to a guy named Abner. We'll talk about him in a minute. Then David then asked Ahimelech the Hittite. This isn't Ahimelech the priest that we saw earlier in the story. This is a different guy. Remember Uriah the Hittite. He was the guy that was married to Bathsheba before David had him killed. But we'll get to that later. This is Ahimelech the Hittite. One thing you need to understand is David's little band of 600 guys is made up of all kinds of people. There's not just Jewish soldiers in the army that David commands. There's all kinds of people. So David asked this guy named Ahimelech the Hittite and Abishai, son of Zeruiah, Joab's brother. Here's two more guys we're introduced to. I just want you to see what's happening here. Abner, who's he? He's Saul's cousin. Okay, this will become more important later as we go through the story. And these two guys, Abishai and Joab, they're David's nephews. Joab is destined to become the leader of the army when David officially takes power. Anyway, what's David's request? I want you to come down with me to the camp where Saul is. And Abishai says, okay, I'll go with you. Let's go. Listen to what happens. So David and Abishai went to the army by night, and there was Saul lying asleep inside the camp with his spear stuck in the ground near his head. Abner and the soldiers were lying around. Abner's what? He's the commander. He's the one that's in charge of defending King Saul. Well, he's sound asleep. There's the spear. Abishai says to David, again, watch this. This is the lesson. Today God has delivered your enemy into your hands. Now let me pin him to the ground with one thrust of my spear. I won't strike him twice. Abishai says, look, David, God has given you your enemy. He attributes their closeness to Saul, the spear sitting right there, all to God's doing. But really, this is a temptation to David. Is he going to take his ascension to the throne into his own hands? Is he going to decide for himself what he wants to do? Or is he going to wait for God? Great lesson for us here. We have many occasions in our lives where we can decide what we want to do because we think something is best, when all along the goal God has for us is to trust Him, wait for Him, let Him work His will in our lives in His timing, not in our own. All right, so Abishai is sitting there saying, hey, Dave, this is the best day you've had in a long time. Let's kill him. Let's kill King Saul right now. Well, what does David say? But David said to Abishai, don't destroy him. Here's a great question. Who can lay a hand on the Lord's anointed and be guiltless? You're going to bring guilt before God on our heads if we kill this king while he's sleeping. He's the king God chose. If God chose him, God knows when he's going to be removed. We need to wait for God. We're not going to move forward in our own strength, in our own wisdom. As surely as the Lord lives, look at this, here it is right here. The Lord himself will strike him. God's the one that's going to take action when God's ready to take action. I'm going to trust in God. I'm going to totally depend on God instead of doing what I think is best. Quite a great revelation for you and me. Here he is. I depend on God. I don't depend on my own wisdom. I don't depend on my own strength. He will accomplish his purpose when he's ready. Wow. Look at this. Either his time will come and he'll die, or he will go into battle and he'll perish. David trusts the Lord completely. But the Lord forbid that I should lay a hand on the Lord's anointed. Now, get the spear and the water jug that are near his head and let's go. Well, Abishai, I'm sure, is wondering what's going on. We've had him twice now, and you won't kill him. Well, look what happens. So David took the spear and the water jug near Saul's head, and they left. No one saw or knew about it, nor did anyone wake up. Oh, look at this. They were all sleeping because the Lord had put them into a deep sleep. So even as David refuses to act in his own strength, we're told that God is working circumstantially to protect David and to give David victory. He's put the whole camp of warriors to sleep while David and Abishai walk into the camp and take the king's spear and his jug. Interesting, isn't it? God is fighting for David even though he doesn't have a primary role in the story. It's not like it's all about what God's doing. It's just how it's playing out circumstantially through the power of God. Verse 13, then David crossed over to the other side and stood on top of the hill some distance away. There was a wide space between them. Okay, we're not too close to the army. And he called out to the army and to Abner, son of Ner, hey, you guys, aren't you going to answer me, Abner? And Abner replied, who are you who calls to the king? He doesn't understand that David's across the way yelling at him. David says, you're a man, aren't you? And who is like you in Israel? But here comes the question, why didn't you guard your Lord the king? Someone came to destroy your Lord the king. What you have done is not good. As surely as the Lord lives, you and your men deserve to die because you did not guard your master, the Lord's anointed. Look around you. Hey, where are the king's spear and water jug that were near his head? Oh, hey, guess what, Abner? You've been infiltrated and you didn't even know it. Saul recognized David's voice and said, is that your voice, David, my son? How duplicitous can you be? Oh, yeah, I'm going to warm right up to you now that I can find you, because maybe if I can get you to come over here, I'll kill you. Right? Oh, you're my son. But look at David. David's heart is right. David replies, yes, it is, my lord the king. He doesn't say, you dirty, rotten scoundrel that has tried so many times to murder me. No, he respects the position, the authority. You're my lord the king. Wow. And he added, why is my lord pursuing his servant? In other words, why are you chasing me all around the countryside? What have I done? And what wrong am I guilty of? Don't you remember I let you live last time? And now he says, now let my lord the king listen to his servant's words. If the Lord has incited you against me, then may he accept an offering. Okay, so if God's the one telling you to kill me, okay. If, however, men have done it, may they be cursed before the Lord. They have now driven me from my share in the Lord's inheritance and have said, go serve other gods. David's feeling the pinch of being basically exiled from his homeland, exiled from his purpose, his calling. He doesn't know that he's going to get called back and become the king. He's just living day by day now, trying to survive the hatred that Saul has for him. All right, they've driven him away. Interesting, as God develops David as a leader, he makes it hard. David's life is hard, it's uncertain. He has to understand how to trust, and that's what's happening here in the process. David says, now do not let my blood fall to the ground far from the presence of the Lord. The king of Israel has come out to look for a flea, as one hunts a partridge in the mountains. And Saul says again, look at this, the same conviction that was in Saul's heart after the cave incident comes back to him now. What does he say? Oh, hey, guess what? I've sinned. Come back, David, my son. I think David might be wise to have a little lack of trust right here. Because you considered my life precious today, I will not try to harm you again. Surely I have acted like a fool and have erred greatly. Now, if that's sincere from the heart, great. But I don't know why David should trust him now, do you? Here is the king's spear, David answered. Let one of your young men come over and get it. In other words, I'm giving it back to you. But here, King Saul, let me give you a point that you need to pay attention to. Verse 23, the Lord rewards every man for his righteousness and faithfulness. God's in play in all this drama you're creating, Saul. And if you follow God, God blesses you. He rewards you. If you walk with him, he lifts you up. But if you continue to act wickedly, guess what? You'll be the cause of your own demise. The Lord delivered you into my hands today, but I would not lay a hand on the Lord's anointed. What's David saying? I'm not going to do this because I think I should. I'm waiting for God. I'm depending on him totally. As surely as I valued your life today, so may the Lord value my life and deliver me from all trouble. I'm asking God to do for me what I did for you, even though you're out here to kill me, Saul. Then Saul said to David, may you be blessed, my son David. Notice how many times he calls him a son, as if they're close. What a heart. What a heart. You can get it. You will do great things and surely triumph. I love the fact that Saul is now depicted as basically understanding that David is going to reach well beyond anything Saul has ever done. He is going to be God's man for God's time and certainly establish the kingdom of Israel in a way that it's never been before. You will do great things and surely triumph. So David went on his way, and Saul returned home. Again, there's no big reunion here. There's no, oh, welcome home, my son. David doesn't trust Saul, and rightfully so. But David once again proves that he does trust God, that he will lay his life down and put it in the hands of God for God to decide what happens to him. It's a lesson you and I need to learn to live by. Will we give God the same permission in our lives? Will we wait for him? Will we hold on to him even when circumstances look bleak? David's surrounded by 3,000 guys. His 600 guys aren't going to survive if they really fight. But in the end, David knows his God. David trusts his God. He depends on his God. And he acts righteously and will receive the blessing of God, even though evil tries to subvert God's plan. God bless you, church. Serve him well today.
Who is it who for sinners shed his blood, and now for cleansing all can plunge beneath that flood? It's Jesus. But do you know who he is? He's the image of the invisible God, and he's the brightness of his glory, the first, the last, the future, the past. He is God.